You ever tap order on your favorite food app and just wonder how it handles millions of people doing the exact same thing all at once? Well, it's not magic. It's this fascinating world called system design. And today we're going to break down over 20 core concepts, not as some boring checklist, but by following the story of a simple app as it's forced to grow from one single server into a global success.
All right, so let's meet our hero, Food Express. Right now, it's just a tiny app for one city, a handful of restaurants. You know, the classic startup dream. But what happens when that small app suddenly gets a whole lot bigger? That's where our engineering adventure really begins.
And this is it. This is the moment every founder dreams of, and frankly, every engineer has nightmares about. A food blogger mentions it, some influencer posts a story, and boom, thousands of people are trying to order dinner at the exact same time. The dream just turned into a 5-alarm fire.
To figure out how we fix this mess, we have to go all the way back to the beginning. So, welcome to Act 1, the One Server MVP. This is our app on day one, just chugging along on a single, humble server.
You know, the initial architecture is actually beautiful in its simplicity. You've got one server that does everything, it runs the app, it holds the database, and handles the API. And for a small group of users, this works perfectly. You could literally sketch this out on a napkin. But here's the catch with simple systems. They have very simple limits.
The very first warning sign is latency. Now, with just a few people using the app, it feels super snappy, but latency is a metric you have to watch like a hawk. Why? Because let's be real, a slow app feels like a broken app, and as more people sign up, our little server is going to start to sweat. Now, this slide, this shows the exact moment the wheels come off. We're looking at throughput. That's how many requests your server can handle per second. And just look at that curve. It is not a gentle slope, it is a straight-up cliff. As more users pile on, the response time doesn't just get a little worse, it explodes. The server is completely and totally overwhelmed.
Okay, so the first most obvious fix is something called vertical scaling. Basically, you just buy a bigger, beefier server, more processor, more memory. The upside? It's easy, and you don't have to touch a single line of code. But it's really just a band-aid. It gets crazy expensive, super fast, and you still have all your eggs in one basket. Your entire app still relies on one single machine.
And that single point of failure, it is about to become a massive, massive problem. So in Act 2, the app goes viral, and that traffic explosion completely shatters our simple little setup. This is it, the big one. Traffic spikes 50 times what it was in less than an hour. And that big, powerful server we just bought, it crashes. Hard. The app is down. For everyone. This is the moment where we have to stop thinking about one server and start thinking about a distributed system. Our first real scaling solution is the load balancer. The best way to think about it is like a traffic cop at a ridiculously busy intersection. Instead of all the users slamming into that one server, they hit the load balancer first. It then cleverly sends the requests out to a whole fleet of servers, making sure no single one gets overwhelmed. It's a simple idea, but it's an absolute game changer.
And this introduces a really powerful idea, horizontal scaling. Instead of one giant expensive server, we now have lots of smaller, cheaper ones. And get this, if one of them fails, no big deal. The load balancer just stops sending traffic there and routes it to the healthy ones. This gives us high availability and makes the whole system resilient. It can finally handle those wild, unexpected traffic spikes.
Okay, huge win. The app is not crashing anymore. We survived. But we've just uncovered a brand new problem. So in Act 3, we have to solve for speed. The app is stable, sure, but now users are complaining that it feels slow and sluggish.
So what's the bottleneck this time? Well, it's the database. See, every time a user wants to look at a popular restaurant's menu, our servers are going all the way to the database to get the exact same information, over and over and over again. It is incredibly inefficient.
The answer here is caching. It's like giving your system a short-term memory. We store all that frequently accessed data, like popular menus, in a super fast memory store. If the data we need is right there, that's called a cache hit, and the response is basically instant. If it's not, a cache miss, no problem. We just go get it from the database and then save a copy in the cache for the next person who asks. Now, what about all those delicious-looking food photos? Those are big files.
For that, we use a content delivery network, or a CDN. This is basically a network of servers spread all over the globe that stores copies of our images. So a user in London gets the picture from a server in Europe, not from our main server back in the US. And the result? The app feels lightning fast for everyone, everywhere.
And to take even more pressure off our main database, we introduced something called read replicas. Just think about it for a second. Most of what users do is just reading data, browsing menus, checking order history. So we create these copies of our database that only handle those read requests. This frees up the primary database to focus on its most critical job, writing new data, like when you actually place an order.
All right, on to Act 4. We've solved for speed, but now the sheer volume of data is the problem. With millions of orders in our history, our database itself is now the bottleneck. It's time to tame the data beast. So how do we fix a slow, bloated database? The very first and most crucial step is indexing. An index in a database works exactly like the index in the back of a textbook. Instead of the database having to scan every single row to find your order history, it uses the index to jump right to the data it needs. A search that took seconds now takes milliseconds. It's a night and day difference.
But even with indexing, you eventually hit a limit. One database just can't hold it all. So the next logical step is to break it apart. We do this with things like sharding and partitioning. Sharding splits data across totally different machines. You could have users A through M on one database and N through Z on another. Partitioning is more about organizing data within a single database, maybe by month or year. Most big systems use a combination of both to keep things manageable.
And this brings us to a really key insight. You have to use the right tool for the job. For superstructured, critical data like payments and orders, we use a traditional SQL database. It guarantees something called ACID transactions, which is a fancy way of saying an order is either fully completed or not at all. It can never get stuck half done. But for more flexible data like restaurant menus or user sessions, a NoSQL database is a way better fit. It's designed to scale horizontally, and it handles what's called eventual consistency. Basically, updates will get there, but maybe not instantly, which is totally fine for data that isn't mission critical.
And that brings us to our final act. Our system is fast, it's stable, and it's handling a ton of data. But in system design, the finish line, it just keeps moving. The next big challenge is already on the horizon.
See, user expectations are always changing. Now, they don't just want their food. They want to see their delivery driver moving on a map in real time. This needs a totally different engineering approach, one built for constant streaming data. We're talking about things like WebSockets, which create a persistent two-way connection between the user's phone and our servers. It's like keeping a phone line open so data can just flow back and forth instantly.
And that really is the core lesson of system design. Every solution you build creates a new, more interesting problem to solve down the line. From that one little server to a massive, global distributed system, the goal is always the same. Keep building, keep improving, and always be looking for that next bottleneck. The only question is, what will it be?